have a very special guest with us today, David O'Connell, better known as Doc, from this season of SyFy's special effects and makeup show, Face Off. Even if you don't watch the show, you may have seen some of Doc's creations at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights right here in Orlando. Thanks so much for joining us, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. Now, how did you get started as a makeup artist?
It comes back to Universal. I originally got a 4-year ROTC scholarship to UCF. And, you know, when you have your scholarship, they pay for your room and board, but, you know, there's other expenses that you have. So I needed a quick job just really easily. So I got a job as a performer at Halloween. So my very first job was this character in one of the haunted houses. And then from there, I had met the makeup guys, and they were all making all these crazy monsters. They were drawing all this crazy stuff, and they were airbrushing, and I was like, that is what I want to do. I want to be one of those guys. And it kind of steamrolled from there.
So when did you start doing makeup for Halloween Horror Nights?
My first year doing makeup was 2008. I started in 2006 and then did 2 years of this character thing and then practiced makeup in the meantime. They were all showing me the ropes, and from there, 2008, I took like 10 face paints in, and I was like, this is what I can do with face paint, hire me. And kind of called them every day, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening? And then they got sick of it. They're like, all right, you're hired, come in.
Yeah, pester them. Now,
Yeah.
some of this stuff is some of the stuff that you've done for Halloween Horror Nights. Can you explain this right here?
Yeah, this is the most recent thing. This was from last year. This was actually the media gift that I'm sure you guys got.
Oh,
one.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
We did the boxes, we did all of this stuff, and of course the severed head that had the invite inside.
I remember the USB stuff was in the, I think, the eye socket.
Yeah, that was inside his eye socket. And then this one was from the year before. Same type of thing. It was just a general skull that you guys had to actually break open. There was a brain inside, and the invite was inside the brain.
Mm-hmm. We love getting these invites. We look forward every year to what kind of crazy things they're going to send us this year.
Yeah.
So what have guests seen actually at the event that you may have done?
A lot of stuff. Besides the actual characters roaming around, probably last year it was probably one of the things where I had done the most work. It was done with a group of people, but we did the merman that was in Cabin in the Woods.
Love that house.
Thank you. It was sculpted by a guy named Oz, and then it was molded by myself, this other artist, Trent Ward, Kelly Murphy helped on it as well, but we actually did the molding, casting, and then we did the final paint. Just about every single one of those dead bodies that you saw out in the streets, that was our team. We did all of that. The transformation body in American Werewolf, of course, all these guys. I mean, you name it. There's certain videos that we've done. It's all over the place, but none of it's labeled.
Right. Do you have a favorite piece that you've done?
It would probably be the merman, even though I didn't work on the sculptural aspects of it, but it was just one of those things. It was such a crazy deadline, and we had such a tight-knit group of people who all did such fantastic work on it. It was like, we made a merman in like a week kind of thing, and it was probably the most fun project that we've done to date.
Awesome. Now getting to SyFy's Face Off here, season 7, you're on it this season. Feels like every season almost there's been someone from Orlando there. How did you get involved?
Well, it actually started with the very first season. My boss, Michael Burnett, he's the makeup designer at Universal. He was one of the people who was in charge of casting, or like he was like the senior makeup person that when they came to Orlando, you know, he was like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing, or this guy doesn't. And I was still really new to it. I'd only been doing makeup, I think, like 2 years. And he's like, you should try out. And I was like, I have no idea, but do it, see what happens. So I went to the audition, I did a makeup, I got a call back to come back the next day, and then I never heard anything again. And I was like, well, it is what it is. And the show came out, and it was crazy. I had no idea. I was like, I could never do any of that stuff. And so I kind of put it by the wayside. And then season 2 came out, and I'll never forget, I was at, I think, employee preview for Halloween Horror Nights. And I got a text from my friend Nick, who's another artist, and he's like, he just sent me a link. And he was in the trailer for the 2nd season, and I was like, oh my God, if he did it, I could do it. Not that he's bad or anything like that, but I was like, if he was willing to take that risk, I totally should. So I auditioned for season 3, got a call back, ended up going to LA. I flew with Laura Tyler and Eric Garcia. We were all on the same flight. I made it into the top 20, and then what had happened, I got cut right before the final cast of the show. So they made it, I didn't. I went home, I was the only one who went without. And then season 4 happened. They're like, all right, we liked you, we're just gonna bump you to season 4. It'll be cool. So flew back to, or stayed home that time. And then they're like, all right, you made it to the top 20 again. Fantastic, all right, it's gonna happen. Didn't make the final cut to 14. So season 5 rolls around, they're like, all right, it's been 2 years, we want you to come back, do another makeup. So I was like, flew back to LA, and again, made it into the top 20. and got into the top group of 16, you know, kind of waiting. I was like, all right, it's finally going to happen. Cut me right before it happened. And season 6 happened again. They put me into the top 20, and they're like, all right, this is probably going to be you. Make sure everything's ready to go. And a week before we start shooting, I get cut from the list. So then finally, for season 7, they flew me back to LA one more time. They're like, this is going to be the final one. This is your shot. You're going to get it this time. And finally got the email, you made it in the top 20, and I was like, all right, they're just going to do it again. They're going to cut me. I'm not worried about it. I started picking up work, and then all of a sudden I got a phone call one night at work from the casting producer, and he's like, is David O'Connell there? And I was like, yep. And he's like, well, congratulations, you're a contestant on season 7. I lost it. And it's one of those crazy, amazing feelings that all this time, I think this is over a span of 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So to finally get the call, it was
persistence.
Yeah, it was fantastic, amazing feeling.
Now this season, I think is what, 3 episodes in already this season? If I remember correctly.
This one. No, this is the 4th episode.
4th, and this week that this show is going online, you did there was a Mythical tree challenge, and you had the top design.
We did have the top look.
But there was moments during the episode I got really nervous because it looked like bad things were happening. An arm broke in the molding process.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama that didn't make it to TV with that. Jason and I teamed up. He's a fantastic sculptor. I knew like my strong point was painting, so I figured if we got a really strong sculptor and a good painter, we could probably do something fantastic. So we got through the day. I know early on the first day of the episode, he was sculpting that massive, beautiful sculpture, and the mannequin had fallen over, and we shattered a mannequin that never made it to TV. But there was a lot of things besides, but the main one was the arms. We had this fantastic chest and head sculpture, and we had these beautiful arms to go with it. And, you know, face-off fashion, I went to open the molds, and they both ended up breaking.
What was going through your mind at that moment?
At that moment, I had started packing my bags.
Yeah.
I knew that with what the situation of that alien challenge the week before, the judges weren't too impressed with what I'd done at this point. So I knew if anything went wrong, it's probably going to be me going out the door. So I was just immediately like, oh my God, I've blown it. It's only been 3 challenges, and I'm going home already. But, you know, persistence, luck, you know, we never really gave up. There was a lot of it, like that night I had gone home and I didn't really talk to anybody. It was just all bad feelings. Jason came over, he's like, dude, don't throw in the towel yet. We still got application day. We got 4 hours tomorrow.
And what exactly did you do to end up becoming the top team that week?
Again, it was just, we didn't give up. We both knew that with the chest and the face, we still had something, but without the arms, we kind of had no idea what we were going to do to cover it up, because I mean, he was originally just this tree guy wearing a loincloth. And then we were at lunch and we were talking about the design, the concept, and I was like, well, what if we have him, because the bristlecone pine tree, it grows in the desert. So we were like, let's have this guy be a desert guardian, and we'll put him in like a desert robe, almost like Star Wars-esque, like if he was on Tatooine. So then we were like, all right, let's roll with that. So we ended up getting a robe to cover it, but we shredded the whole back of it so you could see the sculpture. And lo and behold, you know, again, just that persistence, you know, it's a magical thing. They say in production that last looks is where the magic happens. That last hour of the challenge is where everything comes together. And somehow we pulled it off. And
it was a beautiful, beautiful piece. I really loved it. Now, you talked about, you know, some of the drama behind the scenes, but there's something I've noticed, like when the show actually airs on TV, it's not like a lot of reality shows. There's not really a lot of drama, and all the contestants seem to be really close-knit and friendly. Why do you think that is with this show?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you don't ever want to see someone go home because they didn't finish. We had kind of made this pact when we started as a group. We were like, if anybody has any issues, let's do everything we can to help that person, because we knew as a season we wanted to be the best. But I think it really is the camaraderie. You don't want to see anybody put a bad makeup out there. As makeup artists, you don't ever want to see someone else fail. You always want to encourage each other, and I think that's a big part of it, is that everybody's willing to help everybody. And you notice just in the makeup community, people are always willing to help. There are countless forums, you know, web series, schools, everything. Everyone's willing to share. And I think that's one of the best parts about doing makeups. There's so much to learn, and everyone has something to offer.
And that's part of one of the reasons why I personally love the show, is because it concentrates on what the show is about, the makeup, and not about, oh, well, these people hate each other. Let's concentrate more on that.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this show. Now, different challenges involve like you're working by yourself or with teams. What did you like more, by yourself or with a team?
They both have their ups and downs. When you're working by yourself, you know, you don't have to worry about making like group decisions. It's if you want to do it, you do it. Like when you're with a partner, it's always, okay, are you going to be okay if we do this? But you know, at the same time, when you're by yourself, that's a lot more work you have to do.
Yeah.
But the advantage when you're with a partner, it's only half of it. So they each have their ups and downs. Personally, I'm going into it, I really wanted to work alone, but I really like the team challenges. There's a lot that other people offer, and it's always good to get a second eyes on what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And the upcoming episode here, what can you say? What can we expect to see for this next episode?
It's animal hybrids. Really can't go for anything further than that. They haven't released it yet.
Right.
But there are some pretty killer makeups coming up this week.
So you're back from doing the season of, obviously, spoilers, we can't say what happened. No. Just tune in every Tuesday night.
It's all killer. Everything is fantastic. It's a very talented group this season.
And this year at Halloween Horror Nights, there's an actual face-off scare zone, and I'm sure, you know, at this time we can't really go into too much detail, but, you know, any teases, what can we expect?
It's some of the most fantastic makeups from previous seasons will be there. Like you said, we can't go into detail on what they are, but one of the really cool things about Orlando is that it's not just a face-off scare zone, but because there have been so many people from Orlando on the show that also work at Halloween Horror Nights, it's all being done by Face Off alumni. So it's not done by like some other company or some people trying to replicate it. Like, it's actual contestants from Face Off recreating Face Off makeups.
That's great. I seriously, I cannot wait to experience that. Now, where do you hope to go next in life?
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things at this point we're still kind of up in the air with what's going on. The big goal will be to get into film. Everything I've done up to this point, it's all been theme parks all around the world. So if I could finally make the transition from going fast, like really fast-paced stuff, to go into film and get stuff on screen. I've done a couple shorts here and there, but to get it on a feature would be fantastic.
Last question I have to ask is, do you have a favorite makeup artist, like in film or from TV?
Oh, that's such a tough question.
I know.
There are so many.
Like Rick Baker and...
Yeah, Rick Baker's a big one. Probably my favorite, just overall with everything that he's done. Met him multiple times, would be Steve Johnson. Huge influence. He'd done crazy 80s films like Freaked, you know, Species. He did work on American Werewolf under Rick Baker. Ghostbusters, you know, there's so many movies that he'd done. And just having met him in person and having like actual conversation with him, he's a fantastic guy, a lot of charisma. Just loved everything that he's done. But there's so many. Probably the one who's had the most impact is Michael Burnett. Star Trek, you know, billion different things. You name it, he's done it. But he's probably the one who's responsible for most of my success, and I'm forever indebted to that guy.
Well, congrats on everything that you've done. Thanks again so much for
you.
coming in to talk to us.
Thanks for having me.
SyFy's Face Off airs Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock, right?
At 9 o'clock.
On SyFy, so check it out.